It's perhaps the most moving story that we've seen here at the World Economic Forum, a story that has been brought to us here by the Mahindra Satyam Group. The story of Jessica Cox. Jessica was born without arms, but that hasn't stopped her from achieving just about everything in life. She can fly a plane, she can go scuba diving or skiing in the snow. She's even a taekwondo champion. It's such a pleasure to have with us here at the NDTV studio the top management of Mahindra Satyam along with Jessica Cox. Good evening everybody, and a warm welcome to you, Jessica. Of course, Mr. Vineet Nair and Mr. C.P. Gulnani, thanks so much for being with us. But before we start our very special discussion, here's a look at Jessica Cox's story.
When I was growing up, my mom used to worry that I wouldn't be able to do all the things I needed to do. But I just learned to do things with my feet that other kids did with their hands. I learned to drink from a glass, color with crayons, unwrap birthday presents just like everybody else. I started taking taekwondo when I was 10. 4 years later, I was the first person without arms to get a black belt in the American Taekwondo Association. Some people are afraid of the water or saying they can't do something. But it's not about that, it's just going out there and saying, how can I accomplish it, as opposed to, can I accomplish it?
Our next guest is living proof that you can accomplish anything. Please welcome Jessica Cox! And it's one thing to do karate and play piano, but you decide, I'm going to learn how to fly. What made you do that?
On the elementary playground, I remember on the swings envisioning myself being Superwoman, and I could fly over the playground, and I was everyone's hero, and one at a time I would take a person up and share my superpower. And it wasn't until years later that I was able to fulfill that dream of being Superwoman. Everything was a challenge. The basic challenge of learning how to put on my headset, learning how to buckle my seatbelt, and probably the greatest challenge was learning to land the plane safely. But I think the greater the challenge, the greater appreciation you have when you've accomplished it. I always say that I don't think I'd ever want to do anything to prove myself to anyone. If I did anything, it was either to prove it to myself or because of the enjoyment of it, but not to prove to anyone else that I could do it. I live my life saying that, this is me. I'm not a victim of anything, and I can do whatever I want to do. My mom told me that I can do whatever I want to do.
An incredible story indeed, and it's something that's moved several top CEOs here at a very special breakfast session that was held by Mahindra Satyam here this morning. And let's talk a little about what motivated the Mahindra Satyam Group to bring Jessica's story to the world stage. Let me start by asking you, sir, why did you decide to tell everyone Jessica's story?
Well, last year we adopted a slogan for ourselves: rise, think differently, do the impossible, accept no limits. Now we were struggling to see if we could symbolize that.
Right.
And when we came across Jessica Cox, we saw someone who encapsulates what we are hoping to achieve, and thing is not only inspirational for everyone else,
right,
but in many ways it leads us to the trajectory which Jessica has followed, and we hope we can achieve at least a tiny fraction of what she has achieved.
Mr. Nair, it is a story that has moved just about everybody, and it shows that if you have the will, you have the motivation, you can achieve just about everything. And is that the message that Mahindra Satyam is trying to send across? And what was the reaction really of all the top CEOs who were at this breakfast session?
I think the purpose was very clear, that we wanted to be able to communicate with the top executives at Davos, power of the human spirit, the power of the mind, power of determination, power of passion, and clearly Jessica not only embodies it, but she lives it every day. Some of the things that she achieves on a day-to-day basis, I mean, she chose a life in which she decided that she will not use any artificial limb.
Right.
And that her own capabilities can be developed. The challenges that we thought that we had at Mahindra Satyam during the transformation from Satyam to Mahindra Satyam,
right,
they look so tiny.
Right.
They really look so small.
Right.
And I guess that was people say picture conveys 1,000 words. I thought Jessica communicated 1,000 stories. It invoked that power of I can in so many people, that, as I said, or as Vinita has communicated, that if we can achieve a small portion of it, we will consider our life fully achieved.
Jessica, you're a motivation for so many people around the world. It's really amazing how you've achieved what you have, and like Mr. Gudani was saying, you really can. Tell us what motivates you, what keeps you going?
The challenge of doing something new, having an opportunity. And for me, I think what challenged me to learn to become a pilot was actually my fear. It was my greatest fear. And someone once said to identify your greatest fear and walk directly at it. And that was the opportunity to become a pilot, face my fear head on, and believe in myself and have the confidence to do so.
You were born without arms, and now that's something which obviously is a huge challenge, but you've never seen it as a challenge. You've decided to overcome it. Tell us how it all started. Take us through your journey.
Well, I was born without arms, so from day one, this is all I've ever known. My feet immediately became my hands, and I learned to do things from writing to eating to doing everything with my feet. And later, as I grew older, wanted to learn how to drive a car. So I learned to drive with my feet without special modifications, and later decided to become a pilot and scuba dive, surf, and of course I forgot to mention taekwondo.
Right.
So learning that took a lot of creativity, and it took a lot of thinking outside the shoe.
There are top executives here from around the world. There are policy makers who are grappling with very tough questions. The state of the world economy. They're trying to find answers to questions that have led us to believe that the world is coming to an end, that Europe's going to collapse, that we are headed into another recession. When you meet these policy makers, what's your message to them?
In any challenge we have, in any difficulty, we actually can choose to see it as an opportunity to become stronger, or we can see it as an opportunity to become weaker. And that's ultimately the choice. For me, I chose to live a life of empowerment, even though I didn't have any arms. But I could also have chosen a life of self-pity, of feeling sorry for myself, and giving up. And we all have that choice. And whatever challenge we're faced with, we have the choice of whether we allow a challenge, an obstacle, to empower us, or whether we choose to allow it to disempower us.
Jessica, you now associated with the Mahindra Satyam group. They've, as they were telling us, they've faced some very, very difficult challenges, difficult moments in transforming the company, the entire transition from Satyam to Mahindra Satyam. Why did you decide to get associated with the company?
When they told me that they believed in alternative thinking and driving positive change and accepting no limits, that's what I believe in as well. And so when I heard that, I knew that we had a lot to talk about. And they gave me the opportunity to come here for the first time in Davos, Switzerland, where I've never been before, and share that message with so many people who have so many important positions and important decisions to make on a daily basis. And I hope to share with them a little bit of hope, inspire them to believe that most challenges come down to the basics of thinking differently, of driving positive change and accepting no limits.
Mr. Nair, tell us how that session went and her entire motivational address, what she did at that breakfast session that you had organized, and who all were present.
Well, some of the top CEOs of the world were there, and I think it all made us look very inadequate. It all made us look at our problems, which we worry about, and suddenly see that they were tiny.
Right.
Totally tiny in comparison to the challenges she has faced and the determination she had showed. So if she can inspire all of them who have reached the helm with great amount of effort, I'm sure she could be an inspiration for everyone who is feeling pessimistic, who's feeling down and out, and who wants to get up and start reaching the level which Jessica has reached.
Surely, Jessica, trying to change that mood, trying to tell everyone to be optimistic despite all the challenges that we're facing.
I think again, the direct message by Jessica was, companies are like living beings.
Right.
They're run by human.
Right.
And the spirit of achievement, spirit of doing more, spirit of trying to set, stretch goals, because think of a person with no artificial limbs, no modification to the car, chooses to drive.
Right.
Think of a normal thing of drinking water. I mean, how do she doesn't use a special straw for it. So she demonstrated all of it, that these companies are living beings, and that RISE is just not a slogan. RISE is a culture. RISE transforms people, and that all of us at Mahindra Satyam have a role model. I guess that was the most important message.
And you intend to take this forward with Jessica. You intend to take her at other such global platforms, global forum, and take forward Jessica's story because it fits in so well with your RISE slogan.
I do want to say yes, that is the plan. And in 2012, you would see Jessica and us together at a few other locations globally.
All right, all that we can say is that we would like to thank you for telling us Jessica's story, because it has really been an inspiration, and I'm sure all the political and business leaders gathered here will have some important message to take away from Jessica's story. It's back to you.